Hello everyone, welcome back to Blacksmith Studios. My name is Jack and today we will be talking about the How to Train Your Dragon teaser trailer and doing a quick breakdown for you as well. Now, in terms of the How to Train Your Dragon live action adaptation, this is clearly a one-to-one recreation of the animated film. Now, I have my own opinion on this. If you want my opinion, please wait till the end of this video after the breakdown where I'll share my own thoughts and opinions on where I would have actually gone for the story. So it's going to be kind of a mini pitch at the end of this video. But yeah, I just thought I'd share some thoughts and feelings about this. But honestly, initial thoughts, I absolutely love this trailer and I cannot wait for this movie to come out. A lot of people are saying yes, that, you know, who asked for this and whatever. And like I said, I'll talk about that more at the end of the video. But honestly, I am so excited for this film to finally release. But anyway, let's get into the breakdown. So what's beautiful about a live-action adaptation is the on-location filming. We finally get to see the animated world being brought into live action. And we first see it here. The waves crashing against the sides of the island of Berk. This is the main location in the How to Train Your Dragon series. This is where basically all of the stories are taking place. Granted, there are some spin-offs which sort of go further outwards into the world. But this is essentially where the sort of hub of these stories take place, and it's where Hiccup and his family and his tribe live. So it's beautiful that we finally get to see this on location, and the environment where they filmed, it looks stunning. We see Hiccup on a little ridge next to some ruins. Now, I don't think these ruins have any importance. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think they have any relevance to the story. I don't think they're going to deviate too far from the animated film, but it's really cool, again, to see these beautiful environments being used properly. And it's nice to see Hiccup in live action as well. I mean, we have Mason Thames here, who is playing the live action character, different actor to the animated film, of course, but he plays and looks the part really well. And yeah, I cannot wait to see more of him. And speaking of Hiccup and, of course, the island of Berk, we see then the chief of Berk, Stoic the Vast, being replayed by Gerard Butler. Now, Stoic the Vast is the chief. He is the boss of the tribe of Berk, and he is Hiccup's father. Stoic the Vast was played by Gerard Butler in the animated film, and of course, he's being replayed by Gerard Butler in the live-action adaptation. And the director has even sent out a sort of video talking about the behind-the-scenes of the film and how it was great to see Gerard Butler go from the animated to the live-action perfectly, and it was a treat to see him play. Now, for fans of the animated film, this, of course, comes from the final act of the film, where Stoic and his army go after the nest of the dragons, where it's revealed that there is actually a bigger, more dangerous and evil dragon lurking there, which turns out to be the Queen of the Dragons, the Red Death. Now, this comes from an amazing part of the film. I cannot wait to see this being adapted into live action. We even see the incredible shot from the animated film being recreated in this live-action adaptation, where Stoic lifts his axe, signaling to his men to fire a flaming fireball through a crack in the nest, revealing, with the light, so many dragons. Hundreds and hundreds, almost thousands of dragons. And, of course, it's you know, Stoic thinks that that's the threat and that this is what he's after. He's ready to kill all the dragons and rid them of their nests to stop the dragon infestation. And then it's revealed that there is a far greater threat. I cannot wait to see them adapt this into live action. We see a shot of Mason Thames Hiccup here, and he looks really good for the role, I gotta admit. This looks like part of the Dragon Training Stadium, where they are basically young Vikings trained to fight dragons. We actually see an outside view on this just after that. And honestly, it's the fact that they are now introducing this into this sort of world and giving it this live action filter over it. It makes it feel so fresh and so beautiful, and especially filming on location. Obviously, I don't know how far of a set they've made. I don't think they literally carved out a bit of the mountain to create this, but it is really cool to see anyway. And of course, the practical set of the actual Dragon Stadium looks amazing on other images, of course. We then see Hiccup arguing with Gerard Butler Stoic, his dad, and it's the moment of the film where essentially Hiccup argues with his dad that he can't kill a dragon. All Vikings are known to be dragon killers. That's their thing. That's in their blood. They need to kill dragons to show how powerful they are, and it's part of their sort of culture in a sense. And Hiccup's too afraid to. Now, it's later revealed that it's because of Hiccup's empathy, and it's Hiccup's love and open-mindedness when it comes to these dragons that actually saves the day. And it's Stoic being so intolerant of these dragons that, almost causes the entire Viking culture of Berk to be under threat. So it's incredible to see this scene, and it'll be so cool to see it in live action. It's just, I'm too excited for this. You can't hate me for it. Now, what I thought was an interesting choice in editing and also the practical set combined during this trailer was the fact that when Hiccup says to his father, "I cannot kill dragons," it cuts to the Dragon Stadium, where this is the moment where Hiccup essentially tries to prove himself. We even see him in the shot holding his mother's helmet. Well, funnily enough, it was a helmet made from his mother's breastplate of her armor. Now, without going into the mother story, this is the moment where Hiccup essentially has to prove himself to the whole tribe that he can kill dragons, so he can essentially graduate and kill his first dragon. And I just think it's really interesting that this happens at the moment Hiccup says dragons, and I thought it was really interesting how the actual mouth to the stadium looks like a dragon's jaw. I just thought that was a really interesting choice. We then see the nest of dragons with all sorts of dragons flying around. I'll point out a lot of them later, so don't worry about that. But these dragons are swirling around. I don't know if this is part of the film where they're escaping the nest, or this is where Hiccup and Astrid infiltrate the nest and discover the Red Death, which is the queen of the dragons. But it is really interesting. And then the next shot is where we see all the dragons that will likely come about during the final battle sequence. We can see in the bottom left corner there are several fires lit, and I can assume that these are from the Viking army that has come to attack the nest. Now, I'm just going to go through a few of these dragons that we may see. I'm assuming that there'll be references to other sorts of dragons. I mean, the books themselves reference so many different dragons, but I'm just going to name the ones that I believe will turn up in this movie. So in the first animated movie, we actually only get to see a few dragons, and there are many in the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, but of the ones that we see in the first movie, I suspect we see in the live-action version. So we'll likely see the Gronkle, the hideous Zippleback, the deadly Nada, the monstrous Nightmare, the terrible Terror, fan favorite, the Night Fury, which is, of course, the only living one that we've seen is Toothless, and the big bad, the Red Death, who is kind of the queen of the dragons in this film. I'm excited to see all these in live action. I mean, we can see a few here. If I put this back on the screen for you, you can see a few of these. You can actually go back in the trailer and spot a few, and I can imagine the designs are really, really good, and we'll get to Toothless later. But yeah, we're really excited to see these dragons, and if they do decide to continue the franchise, I would like to see other dragons throughout the series. I mean, the Alpha Berserker dragon from the second movie, and other different dragons throughout. The Light Fury would be beautiful to see as well. So, yeah. Now, of course, we then see the Viking army preparing for battle against the Red Death and the Dragon Army. But just an interesting detail that I've noticed throughout the entire trailer to this point is there is a horn sound. So it is essentially the Viking war horn that signals the coming battle. So it's really interesting how when they edited this trailer, how there is the horn sound throughout. It kind of prepares you for a big war, and it kind of excites you, because the animated film, of course, only has, I mean, it did come out a while ago, only has the limitations of an animated movie, whereas the live action, I feel like, could really, really show a powerful cinematic explosive final battle, and I cannot wait to see it. We then see Stoic and Hiccup's argument again, where Hiccup stated that he cannot kill dragons, and Stoic says that he will. And it comes at a point in the trailer where the music gets louder, the sound of the drums gets louder and quicker as we see Hiccup wandering through the forest. Now, fans of the animated series know what's going to come, so we hear these drums getting louder and louder, as though the sound of war against these dragons is coming closer and closer as we see Hiccup slowly move into the forest and shout and state that he is a Viking over and over as he then notices a dragon. He lifts up his hand with a knife in hand, ready to kill the dragon before he stops. And it's a beautiful moment of the trailer. It's beautifully well done in the trailer, so you can imagine how it's going to feel when the film comes around. And in the animated movie, this is a big moment where essentially Hiccup is feeling like he's forced to come into his Viking roots and be essentially a dragon killer before he stops and realizes that this is an innocent creature. And of course, we see our first shot of Toothless's eyes. So after Toothless opens his eye and sees Hiccup, it's a moment of calm. The music is quieter. We cut to a pit during the animated film where Toothless and Hiccup essentially bond. Toothless approaches Hiccup, and of course, he's a huge dragon. He's been a threat to the Viking culture for years, and Hiccup, well, this is the first time that a Viking has actually stopped and really paid attention to what they were actually fighting. So Toothless approaches Hiccup, and Hiccup does sort of dart back and falls onto the ground. Toothless is curious. It's quite amazing how they designed this character of Toothless in the animated film, and I love how they replicated it here. He's quite, his eyes are cat-like, his mannerisms are quite cat-like, but also dog-like, canine-like a little bit as well, as though it's kind of like a companion, a pet, and it's really cute. And we see, of course, Hiccup's on the ground, and Toothless kind of follows suit. He sits on his own, backside, and it's really cute. He's just intrigued. It's the first time that these sorts of creatures have actually interacted with one another. Even Toothless stares at Hiccup, confused and kind of just mesmerized by a Viking who's not trying to kill him. Granted, at first they do not get along quite well, I will admit, during the animated film, but I think the live action film, of course, will obviously replicate it and make the triumphant moment where Hiccup and Toothless finally become friends that more beautiful. And we see a iconic moment from the animated series where Hiccup extends his hand out to Toothless as though to stroke him, but Toothless kind of growls and his eyes go, the irises on his eyes go thinner because he's obviously threatened. He's targeting something that he's going to attack. Not as an attack, though. It's more of a defense. And the animated movie, of course, does this as well. And Hiccup realizes that Toothless is just as scared of him as, well, the Vikings are of the dragons. So Hiccup looks away rather than stare a predator in the eye. If you've ever seen Nope, it's not a good idea to stare a predator in the eye. And Hiccup extends his hand out again. And this time, Toothless moves his head to meet his hand. And it's a beautiful moment. It's an iconic moment that comes back throughout the series. The animated series, and of course, I'm so glad that they're finally bringing it back in this one. It's the moment of bond between a dragon and its rider, and it's stunning. And Hiccup looks back at Toothless, amazed, shocked about this historic moment that's happening to him at this moment in time, as we hear the grand, powerful theme of How to Train Your Dragon, the test flight theme where Hiccup and Toothless finally learn to fly together. And honestly, goosebumps, absolute goosebumps. I absolutely love this series, and I'm finally glad to be talking about the live action How to Train Your Dragon. But that's kind of the breakdown. I know it's not much. I just wanted to bring in a few story details. I wanted to explain a couple of cool little details that I noticed in the trailer. but just explain in a sense for those who haven't seen the animated series how great it is that they've done the live action trailer this way, and how even though it is technically almost a recreation of the animated film, that it's, you know, still something fresh and unique. So if you did like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. I do a bunch of different things like this, especially franchises that I absolutely love. And please comment down below how excited you are for the How to Train Your Dragon live action film. I know a lot of people are complaining about it at the moment, so that's kind of what the end segment of this video is going to be, my personal opinion and thoughts on it. But for those who wanted to just watch the breakdown, that you can kind of end the video here. And thank you very much for watching. But if you are here to hear me rant and rave about this film, then, well, here it comes. Honest opinion, and this is a true honest opinion from a person who grew up watching these films and absolutely loved them. I'm happy and not happy, okay? Now, a lot of people are saying, who asked for this? This film is unnecessary. And you could say that about any film, realistically. But yes, I get the point of that. Yes, this is essentially an exact recreation of the animated film, and that it doesn't really drive any uniqueness forward. It doesn't, and things like, you know, that sort of thing. And I know a lot of people are complaining all over social media at the moment, saying how it's essentially an unnecessary film and it's a waste of time, waste of money, and why even bother? Now, as a person who loves movies and kind of pretty much will watch anything and like anything, I mean, I wouldn't say it's unnecessary. I would say that it doesn't matter whether we ask for these films or not. These films are going to get made, and it seems that the director and the crew and the cast absolutely love How to Train Your Dragon, and in a sense, it allows the How to Train Your Dragon franchise to be revitalized. I mean, we had the 3 films, and the films definitively ended. I mean, they were a perfect trilogy. Each one were fantastic, and you can't really continue on from there without ruining that beautiful story. You know, and a lot of people are saying how, the franchise is still kind of going and that it didn't die, but it has kind of been a while since we've had a How to Train Your Dragon movie or project at the forefront. A lot of the animated series, people don't really watch. The films are great, and funnily enough, I know it's horrible to say, my partner's an animator and I love animation. Having an animated movie nowadays, you kind of see less and less people watching, and it's a shame, but it's how it is. A lot of people do prefer live action nowadays, and I think it's because of how society sort of become down the line. And hey, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of how it looks at the moment. And it is a shame, because How to Train Your Dragon is a fantastic film, but it is getting on a little bit. It is quite old now, so it's a good idea for the franchise to be revitalized, brought back again, and allow some different filmmakers to sort of come on, and a different cast and everything. So for those who say that this film is kind of unnecessary and wasn't asked for, I'd say to those people, then don't watch it. I could say that about a lot of films, but honestly, this film is beautiful. It has some beautiful themes of, how to not have to fit in with society. Don't be the sheep. Try and rise above what have come before, and try and always strive for a better world, rather than just continuing the terrible world that we're in right now. And funnily enough, that goes without saying in the world today. So yeah, I would say I'm really, really excited for this film. Am I disappointed that it's a one-to-one recreation? 100%. I wouldn't want this to be a one-to-one recreation. Granted, we just know from the trailers, but I do suspect this will be just a carbon copy of the original animated film. And although it's difficult, because no matter what the filmmakers would have done, people would have complained. Personally, I would have liked to have done a film set sort of during the era of the second How to Train Your Dragon film with original story, and we simply see the flashbacks of Hiccup, having an argument with his father, meeting Toothless and everything, and then that sort of could be like a plot A, plot B, the past plot and the present plot, and the past plot sort of ends at a convergent point during the third act, where Hiccup and Toothless have to rise and obviously face the big threat that's coming, and maybe an original threat, maybe Drago from the second film, I don't know. But that's how personally I would have done it. I would have loved to have done it as a combination of How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2, and I think that would have been a really interesting way to do it. But hey, I'm not making this film. I'm really not, and a lot of people would probably complain about that idea. So yeah, for those who really love the How to Train Your Dragon series and you really want to watch this film, watch it. For those who say it's unnecessary and that it's just a money-making scheme to the studios, 100%. It's a money-making scheme. That's what the studios are there for. They want money. I mean, how else do you think they make things? If they got an IP that they know people love, they will try and find someone to make that film. And for the filmmakers, it's something that they really love. I mean, I've seen clips and behind the scenes footage and everything of all the cast and Mason Thames getting his role announced to him, being told you're going to be Hiccup in How to Train Dragon, and you can see how excited he is. DreamWorks really did well with How to Train Your Dragon. It's a beautiful story from start to finish, and I'm glad it's finally being adapted into live action. And it's a fresh, cool way to finally watch the films. I mean, my father, he won't watch anything animated, so maybe he might actually watch this. But anyway, rant aside, thank you all so much for listening. If you listen to this last part, I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me because obviously this is just my actual thoughts rather than somewhat scripted in a sense. But thank you all so much for listening. I really appreciate it. We are way past 200 subscribers, which is kind of irritating because although I'm really grateful, don't get me wrong, I really wanted to do a Secret Wars plot for the 200 subscriber special. From the looks of it, it's going to be very similar to my Doomsday plot, where it's closer to 300 subscribers. But honestly, no, I'm fine. I'm only joking. I really, really am grateful. It means a lot that people are actually listening to me rant about films and stuff. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening. If you did, please, enjoy it. Please like and subscribe, and let's try and hit 300 subscribers, I suppose. But yeah, please comment down below your thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts, whether negative or positive, as long as they are true thoughts and not just insults or this is rubbish, this is bad. As long as they are true and grown up comments, I'd be really, really happy to read them out and reply. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.